The most dangerous person in your life is not your critic. It's the person who whispers, "I'm just being practical." Let's start with a moment of honesty. Raise your hand if you've ever heard one of these sentences. Get a real job. It's too competitive. Who do you think you are? We don't do that in our family. What will people say? You're not that talented. It's a nice hobby. But be realistic. Your hand is up. I know it is because these aren't just sentences. They are invisible barriers. They are dream catchers designed by the world to keep you safe, small, and average. Maybe it was when you said you wanted to be an artist and your father showed you the salary of an engineer. Maybe it was when you shared your business idea and your friend listed 10 reasons it would fail. Maybe it's the silent disappointment in your mother's eyes when you talk about moving cities, changing careers, choosing a different path. That weight you feel, that constant second-guessing, that's not you. That's the echo of their voices that you've internalized as your own. And today, we evict them. Today, we hit the mute button on the world and turn the volume up on the one voice that actually matters, yours. But first, we need to understand the enemy. Not the people, but the mechanism. Who are they? Let's demystify this. They are often ghosts, faceless, nameless, yet holding immense power over your decisions. What will people say? What will people say? Name them right now. Who are these people? Your neighbor's cousin, some random person from school you haven't met in 15 years. A vague societal expectation. These ghosts don't pay your bills. They won't be there at 3 a.m. when you're working on your dream. And they certainly won't be there to celebrate your success. They are spectators in the stadium of your life, but you've given them the microphone. This isn't just philosophy, it's neuroscience. We are tribal creatures. For millions of years, being ostracized from the tribe meant death. So our brains developed a primal alarm system, the fear of social rejection. When someone criticizes or doubts our path, that ancient alarm goes off. Danger, you might be exiled. And we feel physical anxiety. Your dream of starting a YouTube channel triggers the same panic in your lizard brain as a prehistoric human being told to leave the fire and face the wolves alone. Your dream isn't being killed by logic. It's being suffocated by a biological malfunction. A system designed for survival in caves is now trying to run your life in the modern world. We must upgrade the software. 2014. I decided to leave a stable corporate path to become a full-time speaker. The first person I told was a well-meaning uncle. He sighed, put a hand on my shoulder and said, "Son, motivational speaker. That's not a career. That's what people do when they have nothing else. Get an MBA." That man loved me. He genuinely believed he was protecting me from hunger, from failure, from shame. His advice came from a place of fear. His fear. His model of the world, built in the 1970s, had no category for what I wanted to be. So his brain did the logical thing. It tried to delete the unknown variable. To make his world make sense again, I had to change. The greatest paradox is that the people who love you the most are often the biggest dream killers. Not out of malice, but out of love filtered through their own limitations, their own unlived lives, their own scars. Your dream forces them to confront a question they've spent years burying. What if I had tried? And that is a terrifying question. So it's easier to gently, lovingly guide you back to the well-trodden path, the path of reality. But I have a different definition of reality. Reality is not what is. Reality is what you build. And to build, you need tools, not just positive thinking, not just ignore them. That doesn't work. You need a system. A psychological martial art to defend your vision. And that system starts with these 5 steps. The first and most critical filter for any advice, any criticism, any word of caution is this simple question. You must ask it out loud or in your mind every single time. It sounds simple. It's revolutionary. When someone says, "Starting a business is too risky," lean in and ask with genuine curiosity. "Oh, have you started one? Tell me about your experience." When they say, "YouTube is oversaturated, you'll never grow," smile and ask, "That's interesting. How many channels have you built?" You will witness magic. You will see stammering, deflection. "Well, no, but I know people who," or "That's common sense." Here's the rule. Advice is only valid if it comes from a scar, not a theory. I don't want to learn about swimming from someone who has never gotten wet. I want to learn from someone who has battled the waves, swallowed water, and made it to the other shore. Credibility is everything. We live in the age of opinion. Everyone has a take. But there is a grand canyon of difference between an opinion and a lesson. An opinion is cheap. A lesson is paid for with time, sweat, and failure. I want you to do this right now. Think of the one piece of negative advice that is currently ringing in your ears. Who said it? Now mentally conduct the WHO check. What is that person's direct personal experience in the field they are advising you on? If the answer is none or they failed at it, you have just disarmed a bomb. That advice is not about your path. It is a reflection of their map of the world, which is outdated, limited, or drawn from a place of fear. File it under interesting perspective and move on. Exception: if the person has done it and failed and gives you specific tactical reasons, I failed because of X, so avoid Y. Listen intently. That is gold, that is a scar teaching you. Thank them, take notes. But 80% of the noise, it's from spectators in the stands yelling at the players on the field. You are a player. Stop taking coaching from the crowd. You've run the who check. You've identified the noise, but it still hurts. It still gets under your skin. Why? Because we are reactive creatures. An insult, a doubt, a discouraging word triggers an immediate chemical cascade in your body. Adrenaline, cortisol, you go into fight or flight, and in that state you either lash out or you crumble. Both give power to the other person. Introducing the silent 30. This is your psychological airbag. The moment you receive a blow, you can't do this, a dismissive comment, even a well-meaning but soul-crushing, be practical, you activate it. The rule: for the next 30 seconds you are forbidden from speaking. You are forbidden from even forming a full sentence in your mind. Your only job is to breathe, in for 4 counts. Hold for 4, out for 4. What does this do? It breaks the spell. The critic is expecting a reaction, an argument, a defense, a sad acceptance. Your silence is a void. It disorients their attack. It gives your biology time to settle. The cortisol surge begins to recede. The primal brain hands the microphone back to your prefrontal cortex, the logical, strategic you. It creates space for your truth to surface. In the quiet, beneath the ringing of their words, you will hear a whisper. They're wrong, or this doesn't apply to me, or I'll show them. That whisper is your authentic self. The 30 seconds of silence is the time it takes for that whisper to become a clear voice. A client of mine, Priya, wanted to become a chef. Her family, full of doctors and engineers, had an intervention for her. They listed all the reasons it was a mistake. Long hours, low pay, physical strain. They presented it with charts. In the past, she would have cried, argued, and ultimately given in. This time, she used the silent 30. She just sat there, breathing while they talked. She said the energy in the room completely shifted. They ran out of steam. And in that silence, she finally heard her own voice, calm and certain, say, "I understand your concerns, but this is what I'm going to do." She said it wasn't defiance, it was clarity. She is now the head chef at a successful restaurant. This isn't just for big confrontations. Practice it with small comments. A colleague scoffs at your idea in a meeting, silent 30, then respond. A friend makes a passive-aggressive remark about your new diet, silent 30, then smile. You are building a muscle, the muscle of non-reactive confidence. You are teaching the world that your emotional state is not their remote control to play with. You cannot do this alone, period. The myth of the lone genius, the self-made person who ignored everyone, it's mostly a myth. Every great achiever had a circle, a tribe, a group of believers when they themselves doubted. The problem is, by default, you are surrounded by your geographical circle, the people who happen to be near you by accident of birth, job, or location. Their dreams, their fears, their ceilings become the invisible walls of your world. You must consciously, deliberately construct your intentional circle, your dream circle. This is your personal board of directors for your life. These are the people you go to for fuel, not friction. The 5 roles in your dream circle: the believer, the one who looks at you and sees your future self, even when you're a mess. They say, "I believe in you," unconditionally. Often not a family member, could be a mentor, a coach, a specific friend. The strategist, the one who has walked the path or a similar one. They don't just cheer, they give you the map, the tools, the contacts. They say, "Here's how you do it." The peer, someone on a similar journey, a few steps ahead or beside you. This is for mutual support, shared venting, and accountability. You're not crazy, I'm going through it too. The beginner's mind, someone completely outside your field. A child, a creative, someone naive. They ask the stupid questions that expose your assumptions. Why does it have to be done that way? The reality anchor, the positive one, not a pessimist but a grounded optimist. They ask, "What's your plan for X?" To help you prepare, not to discourage. They keep you from flying into fantasy. Your mission this week: audit and assemble. Audit your current inner circle. Write down the 5 people you spend the most time with, talk to most about your dreams. For each note, Do they fill me with energy or drain it? Do they expand my vision or shrink it? Be brutally honest. Identify the gaps. Which of the 5 roles are missing? Probably the strategist and the believer. Assemble proactively. You don't find these people at your local cafe, you go where they are. Find the strategist. Online courses, industry masterminds, LinkedIn. Find the believer. Sometimes you have to hire a coach initially. Find the peer. Join online communities, forums related to your goal. You are not betraying your old friends or family by doing this. You are simply acknowledging that for a specific part of your life, the building of your dream, you need a different kind of support. You can still love your old circle, but you stop going to the hardware store for milk. Stop seeking validation for your entrepreneurial dream from a parent who values government job security above all else. It's a mismatch, not a betrayal. Your dream circle is your psychological greenhouse. It's where your fragile seedling of a dream is protected from the frost of doubt until it's strong enough to weather any storm. Anger is fuel, but it's dirty fuel. It burns hot and fast and leaves you exhausted. "I'll show them" is a great starter but a terrible sustainer, so we need to refine that fuel. We need to alchemize that external doubt into an internal engine. The prove them wrong mindset keeps you tethered to them. Your success is still defined as a reaction to their doubt. You are dancing to their tune, just in the opposite direction. Here is the twist, the psychological jiu-jitsu. What if you accepted their premise? Just for a second. What if when they say you're not disciplined enough to write a book, you said to yourself, you know what, they're right. If I continue my current habits, checking my phone every 20 minutes, watching Netflix 3 hours a night, having no writing schedule, I will fail. They are 100% correct. You see what happened. You just stole their power. You agreed with the observation, your current trajectory leads to failure, but not the identity, you are not disciplined. Now the problem is no longer about them versus you. It's about your current habits versus your desired future. It's an internal engineering problem, not an external war. The exercise. The fear agreement. Take out a notepad. Write down the core criticism fear others have about your dream. E.g., you'll run out of money. Write the header. If I continue on my current path, they are right. Now list the current behaviors that make this true. I don't have a budget. I spend impulsively. I have no emergency fund. My income stream is single and fragile. Flip the page. New header. To prove my vision right, I must. List the new behaviors. I will create a budget this Saturday. I will automate savings. I will develop a second income skill. I will cut one unnecessary expense. You have now transformed a critic into an unintentional accountability partner. Their doubt has become a stark mirror showing you the gap between your present actions and your future goal. Thank them mentally. They did you a favor. This step is about radical ownership. It says, the outcome of my life is not dependent on their belief. It is dependent on my execution. Their doubt simply highlights the areas where my execution must be bulletproof. When you operate from this place, there is no more blame, no more they're holding me back. Only focus, only action. You are no longer trying to silence a critic. You are too busy building your proof. We are motivated by two forces, the pursuit of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. And pain is a far, far stronger motivator. We've talked about turning down the volume on others' fears. Now we must turn up the volume on your own most potent fear, the fear of regret. Most visualization is fluffy. Imagine yourself on a yacht. Imagine the applause. That's weak. It feels distant, unreal. The visualization that changes behavior is not of the prize, but of the cost of inaction. I want you to do something uncomfortable with me. Close your eyes if you can, or just soften your gaze. Fast forward 5 years, you chose the safe path. You listened to all the good advice. You stayed in the job that pays the bills but shrinks your soul. You gave up on the business idea. You never wrote the book. You never got in shape. You never made the move. Now walk through a day in that life 5 years from now. Wake up in the same bedroom. Feel that familiar heaviness as you open your eyes. Go through the same routine. Drive to the same place. Feel the low-grade resentment buzzing in your chest. See the people around you who haven't changed either. Now, imagine a moment of trigger. You see a post from an old friend who did take the leap. They're not necessarily a billionaire, but they have freedom. They have stories. They have light in their eyes. Or you meet a young person, full of fire, talking about their big dream, and you hear yourself say with a worn-out smile, "That's nice. But be careful, you have become the ghost." Feel the taste of regret. It's metallic, it's hollow. Feel the weight of the person you could have been, looking over the shoulder of the person you became. Now, open your eyes. That is your motivation, not the yacht, not the fame, the sheer, visceral, unbearable terror of becoming your own regret, of meeting your future self and having to look away in shame. The practice. Every morning for 60 seconds, I want you to visit that future. Don't stay long, just a quick tour. Feel that pain. Then use it as rocket fuel. That future is not set. It is a warning. And this present moment is your control panel to change the destination. This is the ultimate weapon against doubt, yours or anyone else's. When someone says you can't, you now have a memory of a future where you didn't, and you know its emotional cost. That memory is more real, more painful, and more powerful than any doubt they can muster. Your why must be lined with fire. Not just the desire for light, but the absolute refusal to live in the cold any longer. Knowledge is passive, power is active. You don't get points for understanding, you get results from doing. So your video doesn't end when I stop talking, it begins. Your 24-hour mission, the Who Check audit, identify the one piece of discouraging advice in your head. Run the Who Check. Write down the result. This came from Name, whose expertise in this area is result. Therefore, its weight is light/heavy. Silent 30 drill. The next time you face any minor doubt from outside or inside, practice the silent 30. Breathe. Report back in the comments how it felt. Dream Circle Blueprint. On a sheet of paper, draw your 5 dream circle roles. Write down one name or source, e.g., online course by expert, for at least 2 roles you're missing. Fear agreement. Complete the if I continue my current path, they are right. Exercise for your biggest perceived obstacle. Scary visualization. Set a 2-minute alarm on your phone for tomorrow morning. Do the scary visualization. Let it fuel your first important task of the day. This is your launch sequence. You don't need to be perfect, you need to be in motion. Action creates clarity, momentum kills doubt. For years, you've been in a silent negotiation, you with the world. If I be quiet, will you accept me? If I follow the rules, will you keep me safe? The world doesn't make that deal. The world only respects one currency, conviction demonstrated through action. You have a choice. You can spend your life as a prisoner in the jail of what if, with the ghosts of other people's fears as your guards. Or you can choose today to become the architect of your own what is. The tools are in your hands, the 5 steps are your blueprint. The only thing left is your decision. My final challenge to you is this: be unpopular. Be unpopular with the old version of yourself that believed the ghosts. Be unpopular with the people who prefer you small. Be so fiercely committed to your own becoming that you become a living question mark in their comfortable world. Let them wonder. Let them talk. You will be too busy building to listen. Like this video if you're choosing to build. Subscribe if you want this channel to be part of your dream circle. I'm here in your corner every week. Share it with one person you know who needs to hear this message. And comment below. Tell me, what is the dream you are now officially refusing to abandon? Let's make this the largest collection of unstoppable dreams on the internet. They said, don't do it. Watch you.